is up and the stock market's down, and you're only getting mugged if you go downtown. I live back in the woods, you see, a woman and the kids and the dogs and me. I got a shotgun, a rifle, and a four-wheel drive, and a country boy can survive. Country folks can survive. I can plow a field all day long. I can catch catfish from dusk till dawn. Make our own whiskey and our own smoke too. Ain't too many things these old boys can't do.
Hello, folks. This is James Kelso on the Republic Broadcasting Network, bringing you the American Freedom Party Report. This is our second show in a new program. We're very happy you're able to join us here tonight. This is a live show. Last week we were honored to have as our guest Mr. Don Wassell, who is the executive director of this new political party on the American scene, the American Freedom Party. And throughout this show, we'll be inviting you to become a part of the American Freedom Party and to visit our websites and subscribe to our publications and get active in the American Freedom Party. This is a political effort to resist the dispossession of our people, the destruction of our country, the loss of our nation. We're pushing back politically, which is something that has been needed for decades, and finally we're doing it. Tonight I'm going to have as our guest the man who we ran as a presidential candidate in 2012, Mr. Merlin Miller, who is based in Tennessee. He'll be with us momentarily. And one of the things that Merlin did in the course of running for the presidency on the American Freedom Party ticket is he wrote a book, a sort of credo for our party entitled Our Vision for America. And I've got a copy of that in my hands right now. So we'll be, I'd like to get copies of that book to you. It's available. I'll explain how you can get a copy of it as we walk through it tonight. Let me see whether Merlin is on the line yet. Merlin, are you here?
Yes, Jamie. How do you do?
Very well, thank you. It's great to have you on the air. Merlin, in your presidential run with the American Freedom Party, you were on many radio shows and appeared in the mass media. You did a great job of putting out the Patriot message over the course of that 2012 campaign. I want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you. It was a wonderful experience, Jamie. And as you know, I'm not a politician. I didn't come from a political background, but just very concerning what's going on in the country right now. We all need to step forward and do what we can.
Well, Merlin, the fact that I hope, we can overcome your modesty and describe some of your extraordinary achievements in your life. Those achievements, which are not in the realm of politics, I think those add luster to your qualification to help our people. We'll be back in a little bit with more from Merlin Miller. Please don't touch that dial. Come on back.
Gotta keep my eyes from the circling skies. Tongue tied and twisted just to earth now. Yes,
Mixtures rich.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Don't answer it! How can I stop these annoying collection calls?
Imagine being free from your debt without settling and with no payment plan, no negotiating or filing bankruptcy, and no attorneys. What if you could eliminate the risk from all your unsecured debt in about 90 days and keep all your money? You can. It's called Zero Debt Guarantee, and it works. There's no other program of its kind on the planet, and we guarantee the results in writing. Call now, 800-477-9256. Let our team of experts provide you with the resources to fight back, stop collection calls, and prevent and stop wage garnishments and bank levies. If you're facing foreclosure, we can help. Don't go it alone. Get free information now by calling 800-477-9256. Talk to an expert who has also completed our program. Call 800-477-9256 for free info, or go to ZeroDebtGuarantee.com. That's 800-477-9256, or go to ZeroDebtGuarantee.com.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
When I was a little boy.
Welcome back, folks. This is James Kelso on the American Freedom Party Report. And reporting to you with me tonight on the American Freedom Party is Mr. Merlin Miller from Gatlinburg, Tennessee, where he is based and where he has achieved some extraordinary things in his life. Before the break, I was mentioning to you, Merlin, that I think your salt-of-the-earth American career that has not been in politics actually gives you extra clout as someone running in politics. People are tired of the professional politicians. You're not one of them. There's so many amazing things about your life. Could you give folks just a little bit of an idea? What year were you born, Merlin?
Born 1952, Jamie, and I'm really dating myself.
Well, that's an ideal political age. And I know you grew up, this is an extraordinary fact, it's sort of something out of like a political fairy tale of the man who grew up in a log cabin. You grew up in a home in Iowa with no running water, is that correct?
That's true. Until we were 6 years old. My folks, of course, were very hardworking and finally got a home that we did have a bathroom inside, and they worked hard all their lives and improved the family's lot, and I'm very fortunate to have had that.
And then, correct my memory if I'm wrong, you were the first person in your family to complete college?
Yes, I was. I was lucky enough to get a nomination to the military academy at West Point and went and joined the class in 1974, and just a great opportunity for me to leave, the background that I'd had and experience something that was just totally different than anything we'd envisioned, and open up a lot of opportunities, and I'm very grateful for that.
Now, I don't mean to overly portray you as standing there with Davy Crockett's musket in your hand and Daniel Boone's coonskin cap, but you are a political. That's a wonderful story. Someone who came from those salt of the earth, middle American values and history of the pioneers on the plains. I'm actually out on the plains myself here. I'm broadcasting to you folks from North Dakota, a very similar place to Iowa, so I can identify with what where Merlin came from. And but then you went on to extraordinary achievement in your military career, gaining that appointment to West Point, and then I believe you had some successful commands. Then went on to life in industry, and very importantly, where you are now professionally, which is in the field of communication and creativity with your movie career. Could you just give a thumbnail sketch to the folks of what you did there?
Sure. And growing up in Iowa, Walt Disney was my idol. I really loved what the man did. And growing up in the environment we did, it was just a wonderful world to be able to see the world that he created. And unreal as it may have been, it was certainly a great vision for me to follow. And I'd love nothing better to have been a part of Walt Disney's operation. And I think coming through the military, and then I was in engineering for a while, ultimately my life's dream was to emulate that and be a part of the motion picture industry in a way which could create inspiring stories that had good uplifting endings and presented information and excitement to people that they may not otherwise experience. And just an incredible opportunity to be able to do that. But unfortunately, the industry does not allow those sort of opportunities anymore, especially for people with my background and my beliefs and attitudes.
Well, folks, there are two movies that Merlin has. I hope I have permission to talk about these, Merlin. May I talk
sure.
about the two movies that you're working on? Merlin has in the works a movie on the subject of the USS Liberty. That is the American Navy intelligence ship that was attacked on June 8th, 1967, off the shore of Sinai and off the shore of Israel. Folks who listen to this broadcast may be well familiar with that incident. No great movie about that has been made. Merlin proposes to do that, to tell the truth and to dramatize it so that the effect for the audience is as if they're there, as if they can experience what happened. And so that's one movie in the hopper, the USS Liberty movie. And another movie that Merlin has worked on, and I've had the great honor of participating in a little bit of Merlin's research and work on this, is a movie on the great German general and hero Arminius, also known in his German name as Hermann, who, what was the year of his, the Battle of Teutoburg Forest, Merlin?
Well, it was 9 A.D. was the famous battle where they defeated 3 Roman legions.
This is an epical moment in the history of our people, where a great hero stood up for the independence of his people, and in this great victory. And the story of Arminius is another that Merlin wants to tell. Let me go to something that you just did in 2012, Merlin, which is you wrote this book, Our Vision for America. And by the way, folks, as we go through this interview with Merlin, Merlin, why don't you give out your website address so that this all too brief description of your work can be fleshed out in greater detail by people by going to your website?
Certainly, it's Americana-Pictures.com. And for the most part, the information we have on there is a little bit about the industry, and our main page has some information about the project called False Flag, which really does connect the USS Liberty story to what's going on today in terms of preventing this war on terror from being escalated into World War III by way of a new false flag. So it's a political thriller, edge of your seat kind of story. We realize that as a company, we have to entertain and then impart our messages through the story in such ways that we can build upon a mass audience.
And that does bring us right up to the present moment and the connection to the American Freedom Party. Our website is theamericanfreedomparty.us. Grab a pencil and write that down if you would, theamericanfreedomparty.us. I'll remind you of that web address later in the show. The Merlin's book, which he wrote for us, Our Vision for America, is one I'd like to send to you if you would like. And Merlin, in this book, it's a short book, it's easily read by folks, you give us a sort of credo of the patriot cause. And in your, I'm leafing through here to my table of contents. In your table of contents, you cover the big issues. You just mentioned national defense. Why don't you say a few words about how we've gone astray in national defense and how the American Freedom Party would get us back on the right path?
Well, I think what it all comes down to is the battle right now that is raging throughout the world between those forces of internationalism, of a new world order, versus sovereignty, the nation state surviving. And I'm a firm believer in America and the nation state. I'm a nationalist. And I think that because these wars, for the most part, are not serving the national interests of America, rather they're serving global interests, whether it's the international bankers, the military-industrial complex, the oil industry, the Zionist movement, the state of Israel. All of those beneficiaries benefit out of these wars, but the American people certainly do not. However, I'm a firm believer in America maintaining a strong military. Coming from a military background with a lot of friends and relatives in the military, it's crucial that America stays strong militarily, but we certainly shouldn't do it with the idea that we have to impart our will on the rest of the world. Rather, we should lead by example and have other nations want to emulate us, and that will only occur, in my opinion, if we get back to our traditions, honor the Constitution and the vision of our founding fathers. And so many things need to be done to get us back there, and how we've gotten off course is a long story, but we've come a long way, and we have a long way to go.
Thank you for that, Merlin. And folks, let me give you just an idea as to how authoritative Merlin Miller is on this question. He mentioned that he was in the West Point class of 74. Among Merlin's classmates in 74 were three individuals that you're all familiar with. One of them was just recently the director of the CIA. Another is the current director of the National Security Agency, the NSA, and another is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. These three generals in Merlin's class, and I guess you know them personally, Merlin, are Martin Dempsey. Yep. You go ahead and name these individuals, Merlin.
Oh, no, of course, David Petraeus, who recently resigned from the CIA. Martin Dempsey, who's chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and Keith Alexander at the NSA and Cyber Command. And they were three of 25 actual general officers that came out of our class. So we were very, very successful in the military, and also had a number of classmates that went on to civilian careers and had a lot of companies. And I'm very proud of our class. I've got a good relationship with them, and I just have nothing but wonderful experiences in the West Point community.
Well, again, this is why I portray you as a sort of poster boy for what we are looking for in the patriot cause as people to lead a political pushback, is that you have great success inside the current system. And you have connections with people and great respect and status inside the current system. You're not approaching it as an outsider. So it's been a wonderful thing through your campaign to know that you were able to go to change of command ceremonies for people like Petraeus, Alexander, and Dempsey. And, as one of the guys, that was extraordinary. We'll come back to this and we'll talk about the 800-pound gorilla immigration right after this break.
The ideology powering the Democrats and Republicans is not liberalism or conservatism, but globalism. Globalists care only about the American imperial empire, not what's fair for the American people. The only antidote to the poison of globalism is nationalism, which is why you should be reading the Nationalist Times each month. The Nationalist Times is unabashedly pro-American in its outlook. We promote a common sense, intelligent, and passionate alternative to the reigning cultural Marxist party line. Published since 1985, the Nationalist Times is a newspaper which features outstanding writers who don't believe in taboos or sacred cows. Subscribe now to the Nationalist Times, America's best patriotic newspaper, for just $19 for 1 year. That's less than 1/3 the regular subscription price. Subscribe to the Nationalist Times for 1 year for only $19 by sending your subscription to the Nationalist Times, 10161 Park Run Drive, Suite 150, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89145. That's the Nationalist Times, 10161 Park Run Drive, Suite 150, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89145. This limited time offer is for new subscribers only.
How did a country founded on freedom and limited government end up with the largest, most intrusive government in world history? The process has been ongoing for a long time, and it won't change as long as the Democrat and Republican parties continue to dominate the political system in the United States. It's time to face some unpleasant facts. Americans used to say, it can't happen here. Well, it can, and it has. America has become unrecognizable. We are living in a dark era where not only freedom is under direct attack, but even truth. The institutions of power and control have essentially merged into one giant organism, one that does not trust or believe in the American people. It's time to break up the Democrat-Republican death grip on power and return America to Americans. It's time to regain our freedom by supporting the American Freedom Party. The American Freedom Party represents the American people and will return our nation to greatness. You can be part of the solution by joining the American Freedom Party for just $25. Send your $25 membership to the American Freedom Party, 9811 West Charleston Boulevard, Suite 2-441, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. Again, that's the American Freedom Party, 9811 West Charleston Boulevard, Suite 2-441, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117.
What's the best source of information on the internet? ANUnews.net. ANUnews.net is regularly updated with the best cross-section of news and views you need to fully understand what's going on in the world and why. ANUnews.net finds the most informative and provocative articles to be found on the internet for you to read. ANUnews.net is your online daily newspaper, an important weapon in the battle to arm Americans with the information they need to defeat the one-worlders and cultural Marxists. Make ANUnews.net a regular part of your internet experience. You'll be glad you did by visiting ANUnews.net.
A to Z Publications is your one-stop source for books written by Dr. Adrian H. Krieg. Dr. Krieg is a Renaissance man whose knowledge of the issues of the day and the needed solutions is unsurpassed. Dr. Krieg has written 13 books. Titles such as Rendezvous with the New World Order, Obama's Nightmare Plan, Oz and the New Millennium, and others are available online from A to Z Publications. Go to A to Z Publications and order today. That's the letter A, the number 2, the letter Z, publications.com. Or write A to Z Publications, Post Office Box 110163, Bradenton, Florida, 34211.
Welcome back, folks. This is James Kelso on the American Freedom Party Report, and I'll tell you, I'm feeling very good about the ads that you just heard. Those are that's the debut run of our ads. Did you hear those, Merlin?
Oh, fantastic! Yeah,
weren't they great?
I particularly enjoyed also hearing Dr. Adrian Krieg, who, as you know, Jamie, was the catalyst for this book, Our Vision for America. He came to me and suggested that I write it and offered his help. And, of course, he's a co-writer with the book, and there's a walking encyclopedia. Most of the data I depended on Adrian for his research, and got some incredible experiences, and really a great guy.
Well, yes, and, every one of those ads, that's the first time I've heard them, folks, and the first time Merlin's heard them, really hit the ball right over the center field wall. They said it perfectly. And let me simplify it for you folks out there in the audience, the great RBN audience. Some of the addresses and information there are a little bit complex, and maybe you didn't get your pencil out fast enough to write it all down. Don't worry about that. There's only one thing you need to remember: the AmericanFreedomParty.us. The using the article, the AmericanFreedomParty.us. So later on tonight, when you ask yourself, what was that web address again? Just say, Kelso told me it's the name of the party, the AmericanFreedomParty.us. And we put that .us on there because we're about restoring America and gaining our country back. So we like that extension of .us. Doctor, you mentioned Dr. Krieg, Merlin. We'll have Dr. Adrian Krieg on this microphone in a future interview. So very much look forward to that extraordinary patriot who is on the board of directors of the American Freedom Party. We were talking about your write-up in Our Vision for America, your book, Merlin, on national defense. I want to turn now to what I call the 800-pound gorilla, which is the immigration issue. And boy, I'll tell you, the Republican and Democrat parties right now, worse than ever, are echoing each other in a complete cave-in on a massive amnesty that is, if this goes on, if more of these amnesties occur, the very nature of our nation will change. I'll let you expound on this, Merlin, how the American Freedom Party is addressing, I call it the 800-pound gorilla because I think it's the key issue, which is the invasion of our country by entire populations from the rest of the world alien to our country who don't have our interests at heart at all. What did you write about this in your book, Merlin?
Yeah, no, it's certainly one of the key issues of our times, and I think most of the founders, of course, of the American Third Position, which have evolved into the American Freedom Party now, grew out of the Ron Paul movement. But I think one of the major shortcomings of the Ron Paul platform was he really did not deal very strongly on immigration. And it's probably the most destructive thing going on today to America. And as you suggested, it's altering the national character of our country. And as a child, I was part of a 90% European-derived majority here in America. We had very few minorities, about 10% black at that time, and very few others. And our country since then, since the mid-'60s and the Immigration Act of 1965, has gone to where the European-derived majority is now down about 65%. That's radical demographic change, and that did not happen by accident. And it's altering the character of America, and we can't sustain that. We can't sustain the immigration invasion which is taking place economically, and so many other ways we're being challenged. And I just don't see the country surviving unless we deal with this issue. And for the Republicans to capitulate and grant amnesty, it's just going to be, a terrible outcome for the country. So we have to draw the line now and stand up and say, no more of this. We need to develop an immigration policy which reflects the best interests of the American citizens and not the United Nations, not third world countries that want to dump their problems onto America. We've got to stand up and prove ourselves and lead by example. So hopefully these other nations will emulate us instead of sending their people here.
Yes, and emphatically, that's why we're here, folks. That's why the American Freedom Party is here, because this tremendous population of several 100 million European Americans are, if the Republican Party caves on immigration, they are left twisting in the wind without a political choice, without a political home that reflects what they believe. Those middle-class, mainstream Americans, they believe that their country should remain identifiably the country they grew up in for their children and their grandchildren. And as I have had exactly Merlin's experience, America was 90% European American when I was a boy in the 1950s. And this slide, which is unique to European nations, the third world nations of the world, China, you could call that second world, but China and India and Mexico and Nigeria, you name it, and Pakistan, any of these nations, all of them are retaining their sovereignty in full. And they retain the integrity of their borders and their populations in full. This slide into immigration invasion and to replacement, demographic replacement, is a fate reserved by the powers that be only for European nations. It's not happening in a single nation anywhere in the world other than every European nation. And if this continues, it's just a question of mathematics. If it continues, we don't have any European nations anymore. And that is the key issue. Stay with us. Please come back after this break, and we'll continue with our guest, Merlin Miller.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
your life with Extendovite.
Why do over 50% of North Americans suffer from some form of chronic ailment? Could it be due to a toxic overload? It's time to take back your life. Get the lead out as well as the cadmium, mercury, and calcium. Extendovite is a garlic cayenne supplement with 5 other herbs that acts like a natural Drano, cleaning out the stored toxins, restoring your energy and youthfulness that we've lost. If you would like to live your life free of sickness, pain, or fear, then Extendovite is for you. Available in either capsules or liquid, you too can see why Extendovite is the #1 heart drop available. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
American gardeners and fellow patriots, make the right choice with your money, time, and your family food supply. Choose 100% pure heirloom seeds in the Survival Seed Vault from MyPatriotSupply.com. Why spend more? The Survival Seed Vault from MyPatriotSupply.com is only $37.95 and includes 20 varieties of pure, hardy, easy-to-grow heirloom seeds. Yes, only $37.95. That's 70% less than our competitors. You could buy 3 Survival Seed Vaults for less than one of theirs. The Survival Seed Vault from MyPatriotSupply.com includes detailed planting and seed-saving instructions and ships same day. Plus, all orders over $49 ship free. MyPatriotSupply.com is American-owned by patriots like you, passionate about freedom and preparedness. Call now, 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. Or discover more emergency preparedness items when you order at MyPatriotSupply.com. Choose the original. Choose the Survival Seed Vault at MyPatriotSupply.com.
If you would like to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear, live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience your body healing itself from anything out of balance concerning cardiovascular or diabetic circulation problems, then this might be the most important ad you'll ever hear. It is possible to acquire a 100% organic nutritional supplement for a healthy heart and circulation, which works. It is extremely effective and starts to work within days. For a long and healthy life, order today by calling 866-295-5305. 866-295-5305. A healthy heart is a happy heart. Order online at heartandbody.com. That's heartandbody.com.
Welcome back to the show, folks. This is your host, James Kelso, coming to you live from the great state of North Dakota, which recently was declared the freest state in America by the Mercator Institute at George Mason University. Yeah, and my guest, Merlin Miller, coming from one of the most independent-minded states of Tennessee, there in Gatlinburg, where you're located, Merlin. We were talking about the immigration invasion, and we've got a guest coming up next week. I want you folks to look forward to the arrival at these microphones of Dr. Kevin McDonald, a professor of psychology at Cal State Long Beach, and he is one of the board of directors members of the American Freedom Party. So I'm sure you'll want to put that on your calendar to hear Dr. McDonald next week on this program live. Dr. McDonald will be coming from California. I also want to give out a phone number for those of you interested in what our guest Merlin Miller is talking about. That's my phone number as membership coordinator of the American Freedom Party and also on the board of directors. My phone number, if you have a pencil handy, is 701-317-5317. 701-317-5317. You can call that number anytime, any day of the week, and I'll answer all of your questions, anything that you need help with concerning the American Freedom Party. And we do want you to join and become a member. Let me, just to show you how new we are and how important this organization is. I remember a day, Merlin, September 2nd, and the days before and after. September 2nd, 2008. You remember what you were doing that day, September 2nd, 2008?
Yes, up in Minneapolis.
Merlin Miller and another man who will come to these microphones, William Daniel Johnson, the chairman of the American Freedom Party, and yours truly, all three of us were in the Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota, just a few hours drive away from where I am right now. We were in the Target Center with 10 to 15,000 roaring Ron Paul Revolution enthusiasts, among whom all three of us counted ourselves. And on that day in September 2008, Ron Paul had plunked down $250,000 to rent the Target Center and stage a counter-convention against the Republican convention, which was going on at the very same moment in the XL Energy Center in St. Paul, Minnesota, which is really just the other side of the Twin Cities in Minneapolis. And you'll see in pictures, if you go online and search for Merlin Miller and Bill Johnson and James Kelso, you'll find the grinning faces of all three of us in that crowd roaring our approval of this revolution that was being staged in the Republican Party. Now, there was no American Freedom Party at that moment. There wasn't even the idea of an American Freedom Party. But the three of us there that day later became part of the founding of the American Freedom Party. And why did we create this new political party? To give you and your neighbors and your kinsmen, to give you a political party that actually represents your views. And on this key issue of immigration, we right now are the only party that represents your views in full. We fully represent your views. There's one other small party, the Constitution Party, that does a pretty good job. But we think we do an even better job of representing all of your views exactly as you feel them. And on this issue of immigration, everybody knows it. It's the 800-pound gorilla that people are unwilling to talk about. But that's changing. Our nation that was 90% European American when Merlin and I were boys, and when Bill Johnson was a boy, and other directors on our board, when Dr. Virginia Abernethy was a young girl. She's Professor Emerita at Vanderbilt University. I hope to have her on these microphones and other members of the leadership of the American Freedom Party to talk about this issue of immigration. Talk about recent developments there, Merlin. Especially, you were recently at the CPAC convention, the Conservative Political Action Conference, just south of Washington, D.C., just a few weeks ago. You saw the Republican Party, 8,000 of the key people in the Republican Party meeting and hearing from people like Eric Cantor who were proposing amnesty. What did you see happening in the Republican Party, and where's the opportunity for us with our new third party?
Well, there's an interesting dynamic going on, and I think the Republican Party is trying to find its identity right now. And establishment Republicans have basically sold out and served special interest groups, as do the Democrats. And there are fresh faces. The Tea Party was very prevalent there. A lot of young people attended CPAC, really demanding something better. And whether they get it from the party or not is yet to be seen. I do think that forces like Rand Paul are trying to make inroads in changing the party and bringing it back to the American people. I don't know that compromise is the answer, and I do see him making certain compromises, and I've got some doubts about that. And in fact, going back to what you were talking about when we were up in Minneapolis, and then with this last campaign, the one for 2012, I anticipated the outcome that happened, and I was desperately wanting Ron Paul to take the lead and form a new party. And I think there would have been all kinds of forces that would have coalesced, including, I think, the American Freedom Party, the A3P at that time, I think would have joined that effort. And I think it was a tremendous opportunity to build a dynamic third party at that time. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. So now we're faced with depending on certain forces within the Republican Party to get back and do the right thing for the American people. I just don't have a lot of confidence in that happening. which is why I think it's critically important that a party like the American Freedom Party fill that void and get back to our traditions, get back to our Constitution, and make sure the American Republic has a future and not just these special interest groups that want to globalize everybody.
Well said, Merlin. And giving a little historical background there, Ron Paul himself did, in fact, make a third-party run. Ron Paul very much believed in the third-party option. Back in 1988, Ron Paul ran as the Libertarian Party candidate and got over 400,000 votes, very significant turnout. He was not in Congress at the time. He was in the interregnum between his first terms in Congress and his return to Congress. But he ran in 88. In that same year of 88, the executive director of the American Freedom Party was the executive director of the Populist Party. Don Wassell, our guest at these microphones last week, was executive director, then chairman of the Populist Party. And that's our last third-party political party effort to retake our country and to restore our freedoms and the vision of our founders. That was the last effort. And so we've returned with our new party, the American Freedom Party, to that third-party effort. And we hope you'll join it. And we are actually doing something with our, obviously we're a small third party, but we're fulfilling one of the things that Ron Paul has said himself in training sessions that he held. I actually met Ron Paul in 13 different cities in the U.S. in the course of the Ron Paul Revolution in the 2008 and 12 campaigns. He said, you can't fight something with nothing. You have to have something. And that means in politics, you've got to have a political party. And then the second thing he said is you're not going to be taken seriously by your opponents and even by your prospective friends in politics. They're not going to bend toward your position unless you are a threat to them. It was interesting hearing Ron Paul say such frank things. He said, you've got to show them you can defeat them, you can take away their funding, you can run people in primaries, you can embarrass them, you can hurt them. You've got to show them you can hurt them. Very interesting to hear this hard-hitting talk from Ron Paul. And so that's what we're doing with our small third party. We're showing that we can give people a choice that they want of what they believe in, and that we can thereby hurt these compromisers, these traitors, really. And, of course, the Democratic Party is long gone, but the shame is that the Republican Party has now turned in the direction of its House Majority Leader, Eric Cantor, and is going down the road of amnesty, which is, of course, a debacle for America and for our people. But now let me give you the contact again so you can get involved with the American Freedom Party. Our website is theamericanfreedomparty.us. Go there and you'll find all the information, phone numbers, and addresses you need. You'll be able to subscribe to the Nationalist Times with the contact information you see there. And also join the party for $25, which is a very modest sum. I highly recommend that you do it. We just recently lowered our membership dues from 40. We were able to do this, lower it from 40 to 25. And we actually did it for this program and this presentation to you, hoping that by making it easy to join, you will take the opportunity to become part of this effort to build something that is a threat to the political establishment that is destroying our nation. And I know you're happy about that, Merlin, the reduction in the dues.
Oh, of course, and I would love to see these movements out there, the Tea Party, the Occupy movement, the Liberty groups, the Patriot groups, take a look at joining and doing something that can truly be an alternative to the Republicans and Democrats. And I think the American Freedom Party is challenged this year. And of course, last year was really a formative year of running our first national campaign. But this year and moving forward, the challenge I see for the party is to reach out and bridge to these groups and bring them together on common issues. And that, if that happens in the right way, you're going to see a tremendous political force build that's going to have an impact by 2016.
Yeah, and of course, that's something that, if we're to save our nation, folks, we do have to witness that breakout into large numbers. We've had a small movement of very determined patriots for decades, and it's a wonderful group of people. It's from that cadre and that body of people who are very, very highly informed and well aware of what's going on, that we can make that breakout and reach into the salt of the earth, middle Americans, the folks living out there in the farmhouses in Iowa, and reach the average Americans who they're bewildered, they're betrayed. All they're getting is the garbage, the propaganda that they're getting on television. Thank goodness for alternative media like the Republic Broadcasting Network. Thank goodness for the Internet. Without this sort of alternative media, our people would be getting just swill and propaganda and would truly be in the dark. And I know your effort, Merlin, is you want to reach through the media, through communication, through creativity, give alternative motion pictures and alternative entertainment to our people that will educate them rather than misinform them.
True, and we have to entertain first. But you made a great comment a minute ago about Mid-America, and in fact, in the dedication of this book, it's really dedicated to America's middle class, and who I identify as the ultimate fate and survival of the free world depends on saving America's middle class. And when you deal with the economic chapters in this book, and I think it's critically important that we recognize that America has been very unique in history and in the world in the formulation of a strong middle class based on our republic and the foundations of our Constitution. And we've got to maintain that if we're going to remain in the lead of the free world. Critically important.
Yes, all the European nations are threatened. This is an extraordinary fact. Boy, does this grab your attention. There isn't not one single European nation that isn't threatened by this invasion of other peoples that we're experiencing. This is this is one of the most amazing things in the history of the world. This has never happened before. There's no precedent for this. And Merlin has made a very good point of speaking from the high ground and mentioning that we have to speak from the high ground. We have a moral high ground here as a European folks, that this is not fair, it's not right, it's not just, that we are being abused and beaten down and destroyed. War is being made upon us, a demographic war, where without armies, without cannons, without a shot being fired, our entire neighborhoods, our colleges, our media is being taken over by other peoples. This is something that's never happened to any other nations in the history of the world. And we can stop it. I like the way you present it, Merlin. We can speak from the moral high ground of fairness for European people. We're asking for the same fairness that other peoples demand and receive. China has sovereignty. Nobody would dream of flooding millions of aliens into China. Nigeria has sovereignty. All the other nations of the world that are not European have sovereignty. And that's what we're asking for.
Yeah, true, and the absurdity of the whole political correctness, the world that we have been created for us by cultural Marxists, has turned everything upside down. It's an Alice in Wonderland world where people's attitudes and beliefs have been altered over these last several decades, and it's gotten to the point now where it's just irrational. And the party has taken the position that we not only need to protect and not allow the dispossession of the European-derived majority of Americans, but that we end affirmative action programs, everything that is unconstitutional, unfair, divisive, inefficient. Yet for taking those stands, which are today considered politically incorrect, you're branded, false names. And we've got to get past that. We've got to get past the brandings and say, no, we're Americans. We're American nationalists. We stand for our Constitution. We stand for the American Republic and doing things the right way and protecting American citizens and not giving in to some globalist agenda which wants to bring down America.
Well, Merlin, I think we have an American citizen on the phone. Caller, are you there? Hi. Welcome to the show, and this is our second show in this new series for the American Freedom Party. What would you like to say to our guest, Merlin Miller?
Harry, Merlin, appreciated working with you during the first campaign, and I hope to help you with the next campaign and build the party. And the radio show sounds pretty good, and I just wanted to tell you guys, keep up the good work.
Thank you, Harry. We're deeply appreciative for all that you've done. You're a great guy for the party and a great one for the movement.
Thank you, folks, for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back after this break. Stay tuned.
What will you do without freedom? That's the question the American Freedom Party is asking as a high-tech surveillance state continues to be constructed in the one-time land of liberty. Through methodical gradualism over many years, the United States has been hollowed out economically and morally. The Republican Party is little more than a partner in crime to the open globalism and cultural Marxism of the Democrats. Both parties support the offshoring of American industry and jobs, open borders, endless wars of aggression all over the world, and slavish obedience to Israel and to the banksters and gangsters of Wall Street. The American Freedom Party is guided by the sole principle of supporting what's good for America and Americans. The American Freedom Party rejects the archaic liberal conservative paradigm in favor of an outspoken advocacy of freedom and liberty that rings true to America's traditional values and way of life. The hour is late, but America can yet survive and begin to thrive again if enough Americans act to regain their freedom. The alternative is too bleak to contemplate. Learn more about the American Freedom Party and join us by going to theamericanfreedomparty.us. That's theamericanfreedomparty.us.
How did a country founded on freedom and limited government end up with the largest, most intrusive government in world history? The process has been ongoing for a long time, and it won't change as long as the Democrat and Republican parties continue to dominate the political system in the United States. It's time to face some unpleasant facts. Americans used to say, it can't happen here. Well, it can, and it has. America has become unrecognizable. We are living in a dark era where not only freedom is under direct attack, but even truth. The institutions of power and control have essentially merged into one giant organism, one that does not trust or believe in the American people. It's time to break up the Democrat-Republican death grip on power and return America to Americans. It's time to regain our freedom by supporting the American Freedom Party. The American Freedom Party represents the American people and will return our nation to greatness. You can be part of the solution by joining the American Freedom Party for just $25. Send your $25 membership to the American Freedom Party, 9811 West Charleston Boulevard, Suite 2-441, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. Again, that's the American Freedom Party, 9811 West Charleston Boulevard, Suite 2-441, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117.
The ideology powering the Democrats and Republicans is not liberalism or conservatism, but globalism. Globalists care only about the American imperial empire, not what's fair for the American people. The only antidote to the poison of globalism is nationalism, which is why you should be reading the Nationalist Times each month. The Nationalist Times is unabashedly pro-American in its outlook. We promote a common sense, intelligent, and passionate alternative to the reigning cultural Marxist party line. Published since 1985, the Nationalist Times is a newspaper which features outstanding writers who don't believe in taboos or sacred cows. Subscribe now to the Nationalist Times, America's best patriotic newspaper, for just $19 for 1 year. That's less than 1/3 the regular subscription price. Subscribe to the Nationalist Times for 1 year for only $19 by sending your subscription to the Nationalist Times, 10161 Park Run Drive, Suite 150, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89145. That's the Nationalist Times, 10161 Park Run Drive, Suite 150, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89145. This limited time offer is for new subscribers only.
Welcome back to the show, folks. This is James Kelso on the American Freedom Party Report. We've had the honor tonight of having Merlin Miller as our guest. We're in our closing segment now, so we'll try to summarize and give you things that you can do. One of them is to participate in this. One of them is you can, anytime you want, to make this personal, you can talk directly to me. You can call me anytime at 701-317-5317. I'm the membership coordinator for the American Freedom Party, and I will help you with anything that you need. For example, if you're interested in subscribing to the Nationalist Times, you just heard that great ad for a tremendous paper. It's been going since 1985 continuously. It's now over 300 issues. I'll send you a free copy of the Nationalist Times. Just let me know. I'm surrounded by them here in my sound studio. I'll send you a copy so you can see what magnificent work this paper is and why you should subscribe to it. I'll also send you literature, and I'll discuss on the phone with you anything you'd like to talk about the American Freedom Party. And another thing we'll mail to you, or you can find it on our website, which is theamericanfreedomparty.us, is Merlin's book, Our Vision for America. And this is a book that we'll reissue and that we will update as the years go forward. It's a sort of credo. We've been talking about two of the key issues that Merlin addresses in his book, national defense and immigration. And thank you very much, Merlin. As we close our last segment of the show here, I'd like to remind people that I've mentioned your movie projects, one on the USS Liberty, another on Hermann, the great German general whose Roman Latin name was Arminius. Two movie projects you've got planned. I guess you are hoping that in the future Americans will be able to see movies that are reminiscent of the America of yore, the America of Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett, where we can be proud of what we see on the screen.
Yeah, yes. To me, there's got to be a convergence of media. We've got to build alternative media, and of course, RBN is a strong part of that. But we need a dominance in motion pictures, and this, of course, goes along with the political movement and getting back to the values and traditions of the average American. So we got to put America first again, and we got to do it through both courses of action, politics and media. And I just ask everyone to do what they can to stand up and help make a difference, because it's a crucial time for our country.
Yes, and when you ask the question, what should you do, go ahead and check all the boxes on your form. Do all of the above. We need to work in the arts. We need to work in information. We need to work in broadcasting, as RBN does. We need informational meetings. We need inspirational, artistic creations. But one thing that we've been missing, this has been a terrible gap in our effort, is that since the end of the Populist Party back in the early 1990s, we have not had a patriot, pro-European political party. We do now in the American Freedom Party. Please join us. Thanks for tuning in. Tune in next week to Dr. Kevin MacDonald, our guest at these microphones. So long.